The thing I love so much about this show is how it doesn't force drama or anything artificial. I had a comment, I think it was either last week or the week before, I was on one of the earlier videos, like, getting upset that I talked, like, about my personal life. They're like, oh, it's a video about an anime, you shouldn't do that. But that's what makes a video interesting, is when you can relate it to your own personal life, and that actually, in return, kind of defends a series from criticism that things are just kind of, like, there for the sake of it. And I think the kind of, like, flusterness that was the unplugged scene when our boy holds Juju's hands, and because she went to an all-girls school, that's the first time a boy around her age has physically touched her. It was a flustering moment. That's not a love triangle. That's not overly forced drama. She might now have some thoughts of, like, curiosity because that is someone who, you know, maybe she can be sexually attracted to. But the idea that clearly the anime is establishing where the romance is brewing is between our main couple, Marine, as well as, of course, Best Boy, right? The fact that Gojo, you know, even though he's not really aware about the idea of just the two of us means, like, that's basically a summer-long date, he's already established the person he thinks is beautiful is Marine herself, right? So the thing I like about that is, like, anyone who's been in a similar situation where, say you have a friend who has an attractive girlfriend or boyfriend, right? There's quite a good possibility if you hang around them long enough, you might grow physically attracted to so-and-so. But if you're actually friends, you're not going to try to separate them. And that's the impression I got with these three, is that even though she's probably going to have some new thoughts she never thought she would because of going to an all-girls school, it's not like she's going to try to force them away, especially given the fact her initial impression when meeting them is that they already were a couple. If they start spending even more time together, there's no way she's going to try to force in between them. Just she might have some weird thoughts that she'll have to maybe either lock away or maybe even confront to Marine herself, and things will happen naturally. I like how this show comes across as genuine without the sake of forcing drama just because drama is the only way we keep people interested in going into the next episode. Where My Dress Up Darling's like, no, the reason people come into our episodes, not only just because the production is fantastic, is that the character writing is memorable and people can relate to it on so many different levels, while also telling us something of, like, an anime story that just feels like we can't see this in our own world, right? And I love that about this show, and how the ending sequence of this episode, the Hamburglar, right? You know, the Hamburglar. I absolutely adore the idea that I'm surprised her hand wasn't bloody because those talons are sharp. So the fact that it naturally just grabbed that hamburger and flew away without even, like, touching that skin, I was like, holy shit. And just seeing this beautifully directed scene where I love how forward yet awkward it is. Because we know for our boy, right, he doesn't really have much experience. I mean, he never used to really leave his room. He just was about his passion. And I love the idea that she's so forward and pushing him outside his comfort zone without even recognizing it. For her, it's just the beach, right? It's a good day to go to the beach, eat some food. And the idea of just splitting a hamburger. Do you want some of my bubble tea? No, that's a little embarrassing. And then the idea of them just standing at the beach together, and how, like, he's acknowledging, like, I never used to do these things until I met you. Well, why don't we continue to do that? Summer vacation's coming up. We can do so many things together, just the two of us. And I love how, rather than it being two awkward sides, for her, you know, that's very much just saying, like, I want to date you all summer long. For him, that's, oh my god, no one's ever asked me to do these types of things, and you're really pushing me outside my comfort zone and letting me experience the beauty of the world. And I love how both of them are getting an equal thing. And eventually there's going to come a point where she's going to recognize, okay, not only have I invited him out for a summer-long date, I've invited him over to my house, I've done so many things, I just gotta say I love you out loud because this boy ain't gonna clue in by himself. And I think it's not just on the male side, it's also on the female side. Sometimes people just have a hard time accepting that the attractive person who clearly is showing signs of interest, it must be my misunderstanding, and I'm fearful of acknowledging that because then it might ruin our friendship and they'll make fun of me. That is such a genuine concern and fear that people might carry through their entire life, but especially in that vulnerable time when you're growing up through high school there. And I love seeing how they're very much establishing every single week that these two are perfect together, that the love interest is between both of them. It's clearly mutual. You might be able to make an argument had the train scene not happen where he said you looked beautiful. Maybe. And maybe it was one-sided, and then you can maybe get into that drama of a love triangle, but no, we very much crystal clear. He said two things have been beautiful in this show: the beach and her. And in terms of a person, it's only been on one, and I absolutely adore that. Another great thing about this episode, of course, is just getting more of the sisters, and how I'm really liking how Juju's sister here is just wanting to make her sister popular, beautiful, and have people appreciate it, because she very much wants to be a photographer. It's crystal clear. And I love seeing it just building up throughout that as you get to see a side of Juju we've never seen. A very embarrassed, bratty persona who just wants to get the hell out of there as her sister is gushing. And I love how they're actually able to go into some details that I think for many people, the different lenses and the idea of perspective and blurring the foreground, the background details. There's going to be a lot of people watching this show being like, yeah, I already knew that stuff. But I love how they dumb it down and simplify it so a toddler could understand it, while still not making us feel stupid in the process, right? It makes it so these two, Marine and Gojo, they don't have experience with this type of stuff. They have a smartphone, and the smartphone does all these things for them. They don't have to manually change lenses or go into the settings, because an iPhone will do that for you, right? So I love how they're explaining it as they don't understand this type of concept, so now you'll be able to understand it a bit better, as you also will probably simultaneously teach a good amount of anime fans so they can understand why these cameras are so damn expensive because of all the technicalities that they can go into. And then to see them go into this, I was like, oh god, we're gonna have a ghost episode, aren't we? I was not expecting to end it with a beach episode, given that it was kind of giving me a Luigi's Haunted Mansion vibe at first. And then I love how the three of them, like, they're just having a grand old time talking about how they're going to shoot their shot, and then we get to see this very fearful side of Juju, who very much is petrified about places like those, but, you know, wants to live up to that kind of childhood dream. It's something silly that people might make fun of get older, like, I want to be a magical girl when I grow up, because eventually you realize it's not something you can actually do. But then cosplay comes around. And I think that's the brilliance about cosplay and being someone else. I think that's why people like Halloween so much, because you fit into this normal routine, right? You know, you go to work if you're a professional businessman, right? You know, you're in a tuxedo and things like that. But you just have like this average life, I think, for a lot of people, which Halloween allows them to become something different. And I think that's what makes it cosplay so brilliant, is that people do that day in or weekly and become the characters that they want to be. Sometimes original creations, sometimes something that they just love so much. And to have people be able to embrace that, especially with the way the internet's definitely grown with cosplayers and conventions, something that used to be frowned upon unless it was Halloween, now is cheered if you see it on the street these days. And I absolutely love seeing that type of passion radiate from the show, as they still animate the anime within the anime better than a lot of anime airing in terms of like any anime season. Like just seeing that magical girl strike, holy shit, that was some saga I was not expecting. I mean, I love this show. It's definitely no surprise. I've been called a fanboy for gushing about it, and honestly, I could care less, because being a fanboy of something isn't an insult as much as some people might want to make it out to be, because enjoying something with a passion makes your life more enjoyable, a lot more so than the people trying to insult people for having fun watching a show. And this show is pure quality both on the production and written details. But thoughts and feelings, if you have any, on once again, honestly, it just feels like the show gets better for me. I can't even pick a favorite episode because it feels like the newest ones are the best episode. But feelings, if you have any, leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.